Well, before the sun goes down, wait for it, into the muddy water, I'm going to go ahead and make this video, since we're going to be dealing with the sun today and around Earth. Now, this is a response to How to Praise You, and this is also part of my Quranic Miracle series. Now, first, we've been talking, and he was complaining about my disproof of the Quran and how it disagrees with science. That disproof video was only to the people that said things like the orbit of the sun is around galaxies. And even How to Praise You said something along the lines of the sun is going to come to a resting place whenever possibly it hits something like a larger sun. So it'll stop for a little bit and then go on. My response, my disproof of science was only to arguments like that. I certainly don't think that you can calculate the age of the Earth by taking the 50,000 and then multiplying it times 6. But if people was going to say that, the sun goes around the galaxy and that was what the verse meant, that's the perspective that I took from making that video. Although these are going to be a lot more serious. Now, How to Praise You, we was talking, and he said, explain how the Earth is flat. If the Quran says the 2 sun rising points and the 2 sun setting points, which means, I can't pronounce the words in Arabic, this cannot possibly be on a flat Earth. A flat Earth can't have 2 rising points and 2 setting points. As the sun sets off on one half of the Earth, it rises in the other, and it rises in one half of the Earth, it sets in the other. So that's 2 rising and 2 setting points. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and read it in the Quran. Also corn with its leaves and stalk for fodder and sweet-smelling plants. Then which of the favors of the Lord will ye deny? He created man from sounding clay like unto pottery, and he created the jinns from fire free of smoke. Then which of the favors of the Lord will you deny? He is Lord of the 2 easts and Lord of the 2 wests. Then which of the favors of the Lord will you deny? Okay, so now we've kind of put it in context. This is talking about things that have been created. So what are the 2 east and 2 west? Well, the reason that I wanted to put this video so soon, even though I don't think it quite fits in the miracle category, I'm not sure how many sites will list this verse as a miracle, even though I think Muhammad thought that the earth was flat. If I'm going to have such a belief, it has to be founded on something. Well, there's plenty of things I can say in the Quran that seem to suggest that he thinks that the earth is flat. Also, there can't be anything in the Quran that suggests that he thinks the earth is round. So as long as these 2 criteria are met, I can say I believe that he thinks that the earth is flat. And I drew something on a piece of paper when it was about 2 days before he sent me the verse, or this challenge. And I said, well, I know exactly what 2 west and 2 east are. I've been working with sundials. This is the one I built, and it's a replica of another sundial. And I noticed that it doesn't keep time too well, stupid sun. So I said, well, maybe I just don't know too much about it. I normally don't think about the sun moving through the sky. Yes, I did say sun moving through the sky. So I built this, and you saw that from a previous video. This is actually another type of sundial, and you move the dates, and you can set it depending on where you are on the earth. And I said, okay, well, I need to set out a sundial, and I'm going to mark the positions of the shadow of the sun, and this would be fairly accurate. Then I realized that's not going to work, because depending on the season, the sun's going to change positions. So I thought, well, what does the horizon look like? What does the sky look like relative to the path of the sun? So I drew that. Now, basically, if you see you've got the North Star, and you have the sun in the east during the summer, it rises here, then at noon it's here, and then at sunset it's over here. And then, of course, in the winter, you've got the sun rising here, and you got noon, and then the sun sets here. Well, I drew in my picture, I have 2 sunrises and 2 sunsets. There they are. Now, I believe the earth is round. I believe that we orbit the sun. And I drew this picture with 2 sunrises and 2 sunsets. Now, of course, this would be completely obvious to anybody living back in the day. 1,000 years BCE, the apprentice of the astronomer would have been able to construct this. He didn't know anything about flat or a round Earth or anything. It really is irrelevant. You can clearly see the sun revolving around, making these two paths. So let's see from an Islamic website to make sure that we can apply this to the verse. Let's see, in the verse, Lord of the two east, Lord of the two west, there is sure evidence that the earth is round, because two east and two west can only come about when the earth is round. For when the sun rises over one region, it sets in another. When it rises one sphere, it rises in another. Thus, the actuality of two east and two west can clearly be seen. Now let's look at the inner spiritual world of man. Well, wait a minute. Let's go back here. Just before, it says, in the same site, this clearly means that the earth literally has two sun rising points and the two sun setting points. So, that is very accurately described in my picture. There's two places the sun sets, there's two places that the sun rises. Is this the correct translation? Well, I found this in a Tafasir. I'm not sure who wrote it, but I'll give the link so you can go look at it. He is the Lord of the two easts, places of sunrise during early summer and early winter, and the Lord of the two wests, places of sunset during early summer and early winter. So clearly, I'm not the first person that has translated this verse. It's thought that the verse means that. There's plenty of sites on the internet. When I was researching building these sundials and trying to get the calculations correct, and I didn't want to wait the entire year, so I went ahead and thought up in my mind and did all the trigonometry. But even the Druids building Stonehenge, they had all these measurements. They knew that in the winter the sun set further in the south, and in the summer it goes further overhead. It's clearly these two extremes that the Qur'an was talking about. Kids have built little models. There's all kind of diagrams. Even if you go on Wikipedia, you'll see that they have pictures of exactly what I have drawn. I'm not the first person that has just thought up this diagram. But people have said, well, maybe it means if we connect the two east and west together, and then you can kind of, make a circle, and that goes around the earth. Or if you have two people in two different time zones, well, they see a different sunrise than the other person, so that's two different sunrises, two different sunsets. If you have a third person, then that's three. But I'm not really going to defend saying that this is a round earth when clearly there is every amount of evidence that the Qur'an really indicates the diagram that I have drawn. However, if you want to claim that the earth is round, I certainly challenge anybody to show that my argument is not valid. Somehow it contradicts something else in the Qur'an. Somehow people then wouldn't have known this, or perhaps it's not a good way to describe it. Perhaps the description of a round earth is two east and two west. Although I think we only have one west and one east. If you've got the North Pole, and you've got one guy here and one guy here, well, that's north to him. That's north to him. Well, you've got two norths. Two people around the east, it makes more sense to say two norths and two easts. Two souths. I don't know, but it definitely matches the diagram that I've drawn. And I still say that Muhammad thought that the earth was flat. Although you may disagree with this, I challenge every Muslim listening to this video to see what you really think. Which way did the Qur'an intend? The low-setting sun in the winter and the high-setting sun in the summer? Or did he really intend a round earth with two east and two wests?